Welcome back into European Masters. We're getting ready for our next game, LDLC versus Vodafone Giants. Should be a very exciting one. Both of these two teams sit at the top of their respective regions. One being from France, one being from Spain. So Yamato, looking at these two teams just on the table, what do you expect from them? What do you think is going to be the real powerhouse out of the two?
Honestly, the two names that you go to right away is, of course, the names that we've seen in the bigger leagues, especially when it comes to YellOwStaR, a player that has so much history behind us, so much experience. EU Masters is just him, waking up, and it's just a normal day for him. I think he is going to be the key difference for LDLC in terms of the leadership and in terms of the macro. I don't know how his mechanics kind of are right now because, I remember back in the day when he was playing in TSM and so forth, he was already struggling back then, so I don't know if he's just sticking to TynX Brom duty. We'll have to see if he's more of a cerebral player. And then when I'm talking about big players, I'm thinking about my boy Attila on Giants side, so I'm hoping that he can also pop off.
That's the one I was about to mention, was saying, looking at YellOwStaR, you got the old guard against Attila. That is going to be a very big task to ask out of YellOwStaR. He's going up against Attila, who has been someone who has been dominating over in Superliga Orange. He has been so insane. I think his KDA throughout the entire season, all respective games, was 12.2. This guy has been popping off, and that's just putting it lightly.
That is fiery, man. That's a good statistic to have behind you. I think the key thing as well when we're talking about Attila is that it's such an AD carry centric meta right now in terms of how strong the picks are. Attila can play Kalista, he can play the Draven, he can play the Aphelios, he can play the Senna, and having all those champions in your back pocket is so important in the draft phase. Bans are already coming out. Varro's ban towards Attila, that's a strange one, honestly,
yeah,
to be honest.
I'm a little perplexed. Sure, he has actually been playing that over in Superliga, and it's undefeated. I think he's only died one game throughout the entire season, has a total KDA of about 32 on that champion, but it's only 3 games, so it's not like it's a lot of games played on that one champion. You have far more on that Aphelios that was just banned away, so that's the one I'd expect to see banned. Not really, the Varus, yeah, sure, but Aphelios is a lot higher on that priority.
Okay, so we got the Ziggs lock-in. That's a lock-in. Like, if you consider the AD carries that are left, there's Syndra, there is also Misfortune, and Ziggs is one of them too. It's something that was played a lot in the LCK, and it seems super strong. DRX managed to clinch a game today with it against T1. They lost that series, but it is indeed a strong flex champion that can also go into the mid lane.
Right, and that's the big thing, is that you have that flexibility, and I always love for these early parts of the draft when you see flexible champions. You try to get things that could go mid, could go ADC. I doubt the Ziggs would go anywhere besides those two roles, but I just love seeing that coming in from these teams.
Yeah, for sure. We'll have to wait and see what the second lock-in is going to be. Usually we see like jungle prio, like Gragas. Set is out this time, so there's no flicks. Maybe some Ornn prio. Oh, okay.
All right.
Spicy.
All right. Pretty getting LeBlanc.
Spicy.
That one's definitely spicy. Gotta agree with you on that one. Going for that one so early and expecting Ziggs to be mid lane for LDLC, or is that just daring them to go for Ziggs into the bot lane?
I think considering Azir is out, you begin to look at what are the strong black picks for yourself, and considering Giants, either you're going to pick a flex pick that can go mid-top and you hide your lanes, or you just pick a strong mid lane or a strong top laner from the get-go. I think LeBlanc doesn't have that many counters right now. If you match it up together with a very strong jungler, I think you can definitely do some good damage in the mid lane, so I'm hoping for some 2v2 action with this champion.
As Thresh does get locked in for YellOwStaR, so going for something that can try to make those plays into the bot lane. Maybe look for Attila, try to say, I'm going to reign supreme in this bot lane with Zoe. Being that answer into LeBlanc's Sleepy Trouble bubble could definitely help out for LDLC. See if you can maybe stop LeBlanc from being able to go on a rampage.
This one is, all Zoe matchups are so tricky, because when people ask me, like, who wins this matchup? Well, if Zoe's lucky, she can win any matchup. And this is another one of those. I think early levels, she definitely can fight for push. And Zoe, if she's in a pure 1v1, she has some opportunities. But the thing is that LeBlanc has so much easier times setting up ganks on Zoe. That's what makes LeBlanc so strong. She can WE, she can pressure with the jungler always, and Zoe is not a champion that is that mobile. So she gets her move speed if she has good RNG with the summoners. Maybe she picks up a cleanse or something like else, then she can get away. But if she doesn't, then it's tricky to execute it. It's all about how the early levels pan out for Zoe.
Exactly, and going into a Nautilus too, not really the easiest thing for Zoe to be able to go into. It's so easy to read where her position is going to be, so you can line up the dredge line, or if she jumps forward with her portal, you just put Death Charge onto her, and she's going to be able to carry that siege into the back line.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking at the bans and I'm considering what Lamabear is going to go for. Usually, like when you see Ziggs, Thresh, and Zoe, I think Jarvan is looking quite juicy together with LeBlanc. A Lee Sin ban definitely kind of signals that. Lee Sin is good into LeBlanc and Jarvan because he's very mobile and wins 1v1 at any point in the game. So I'm expecting a 4th pick Jarvan and then just a 5th pick top lane. And Vodafone Giants already from the get-go have strong matchups and a lot of potential.
I think that works. Yeah, I think that works very well for Giants here. Say, let's hold off for Antonio. Say, we're going to save that for the last pick so that we can get the most favorable matchup into Bando as possible. It is that Jarvan, like you said, they're going to be locked in. Not too surprised to see that, but I want to see what's going to be the answer out of TynX. How they want to play this jungle role. If they want to go for something like... I couldn't imagine it would be Gragas here, because they need to be able to get some AD damage.
Yeah, for sure. Trundle could be good, you know, it's interesting because it's fine into Nautilus and Misfortune. Also extra good into D'Antonio because D'Antonio is only tank player. Like he only plays tanks, plays only Maokai, Cho'Gath, so like all these champions. I wouldn't be surprised if he picks tank anyway into Trundle. In reality, he shouldn't, you know, most teams should pick like a Jace here. Jace would be so good, but I can't imagine D'Antonio to play Jace. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah, I was about to say, looking at his champion pool, I mean, he played Gangplank, but that would be pretty bad into Gnar, and I think that is what LDLC are challenging them to. Say, we know what your champion pool is, we know what you like to go for, so go for the tank. There it is, Cho'Gath. And then Antonio saying, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to go for comfort. That's all that matters here. Gonna go for my signature champion. Doesn't matter if it's into Gnar, I'll still do fine.
It's lovely, you know, because the game plan is already there. Like Vodafone, even though they're last picking top, picking a champion that is just going to be durable and be weak side is also something that works. Giants' game plan is pretty clear, 2v2 mid into bottom side, while LDLC need to find opportunities to make this poke composition work, because it's all about just putting Trundle pillars down, Zoe bubbling, Ziggs bombing, finding Thresh hooks. If they can find 1-4 situations, then they can maybe do some damage with this poke composition, but they need to survive that early game, which is going to be super difficult.
If they can. It will be that they can rely on Pretty on this LeBlanc to be able to assassinate this barely squishy backline. You have... Sure, you have Gnar, who's kind of not going to be that squishy, but with how their composition is looking, I'm betting it's going to be more of the Blade of the Ruin King type of build. Try to go for something that's going to be a lot easier to punish from a LeBlanc. So if you don't get ahead, this could be bad for LDLC. They have to rely on the fact that they have the advantage early. They are the ones who can make these picks and utilize that poke effectively.
The thing that stands out to most to me is still, you know, we're talking about D'Antonio being a tank player. The matchup is very good for Gnar. If he can find a snowball, he can be very difficult to deal with, especially because he's free to itemize into magic resistance. If LeBlanc matches against Gnar later, that magic resistance is going to be super helpful. Maybe we will see with Sand, maybe we'll see that split push build that we mentioned, and that could be tricky to deal with, and it lines up perfectly with LDLC because they'll want to play this 1-4 composition. Sieging against the Ziggs and Zoe, doing Nashor against Ziggs and Zoe can be very tricky, so we have two compositions that function very differently.
Looking at how LDLC can play this, it is a difficult to execute composition, is it not? Looking at how you want to be able to get that poke, be able to put the siege down, but also rely on split push. We've seen a lot of teams fail at doing that, even though it seems so easy because it's written there on the playbook, written there right on the paper.
Yeah, it is very tricky. I'm just hoping we don't get one of those YellOwStaR highlights with the Thresh. Where
oh
he
no,
just
not the one where he misses the hook, misses the play, puts the box down and nothing's there. Oh. No.
Yes. We need a perfect Thresh in this game because he needs to be the one saving the Zoe from danger when that Jarvan comes down, the Nautilus comes down. He is the safety net for LDLC.
Completely agree with you. This is where it's going to be on to that expertise out of YellOwStaR, but Hades taking so much damage, already having to flash away. Ignite used by Erdote to make sure that this Ziggs not going to have a good lane phase at all, especially not into Misfortune and Nautilus, who are pretty much the reigning champions of the bottom lane.
It's also the Jarvan is pathing into bottom side and Trundle is on top side. We could have a situation where Giants slow push and they look for a dive already from minute 2 if they manage this way properly here.
And that's how Vodafone were able to take over Superliga Orange. They utilized Attila and Erdote being so effective in their lanes, so powerful and so difficult to actually lane up against. You have players like this who constantly are able to take over. Of course you're going to want to play into that bot side, but this is why TynX maybe trying to play on to Antonio. Not even going to use the flash, going to be able to get the flash a little bit too late. First blood is gifted over to Bando, even with the knockup. Wait a minute, Bando, what are you doing this entire time? No!
Oh no!
What was that?
That was hilarious.
Oh no, that is not what you want to have happen at all. Oh. Bando, unfortunately, the pathing there from minions kind of blocked him and does give over that kill to Antonio, which is going to be pretty nice. But now, we do have more action in the mid lane a lot with the flash coming in. Flash received by TynX to be able to get the kill onto Pretty, with Lamabear still fighting, having to flash himself, but maybe one more chomp coming in, but TynX is taking the tower. He does get the double kill, but dies for it. So 1v2, it is a bit better than what happened at the top lane for LDLC.
LDLC causing some damage in the early game. We have the gank again.
Oh, no.
It was a great pillar, honestly. It was a great pillar, and then here the pillar turns out to be not so great. We have the turret reset, and then Bando could have just walked straight into top side. I know people like to blame minions, but in this case he could have just walked straight. He was pathing poorly and he got stuck.
It looked like the pillar kind of made it so that he clicked and it pathed him down, but then he clicked again, and so he pathed back up because he clicked it again. So it was one of those unfortunate circumstances where it just didn't work out so well because you spam clicking maybe. That's kind of what I would assume.
I think that sounds pretty accurate. Feels like a situation I've been in. I think Lamabear should be happy we didn't see a replay of his Jarvan play there, because I think he could have killed the Zoe. Here we go, another gank.
Good use of the satchel charge as well. The knockback Erdote not going to be able to escape from that one, and the kill goes over to YellOwStaR with the smite and flash. Attila saying, not today. I'm not going to die to that. Thank you. Let's go away. I'm going to be able to continue my great KDA. All I have to do is wait for these minions to show up.
Oh, TynX is smurfing, man. He's everywhere. He ganked
Yes,
top, he ganked mid lane, he ganked bot lane. He's everywhere with this Trundle.
He's trying to make sure that he's going to be able to bully around Lamabear, and especially because there are 3 tanks, this Trundle is only going to get scarier and scarier and scarier as the game continues. Each second that passes, this Trundle is even more of a threat.
Yeah, the key thing is, from that engagement we saw in the mid lane, is that Pretty lost his flash. LDC's Zoe kept, I can't pronounce his name, Vétheo? Is that correct?
It's Vétheo, if I recall from what I've been told, but YellOwStaR just died in mid lane. It's an attempted fight right now. They're waiting for that dredge line to be able to grab Vétheo back there, but it is going to be Zoe getting away. They do take 1 kill for Vodafone, so it is going to be at least them holding on to control of that bottom half of the map. They did lose it briefly to TynX, but without TynX nearby, it feels like that is what LDLC have to have. It is going to be on to Trundle to always be everywhere to patch up the holes.
Yeah, the key thing is, Zoe has an advantage in the mid lane, and we talked about how important the 2v2 mid lane is. Trundle and Zoe being so strong, that makes that changes the matchup completely, and they can be the ones impacting the map. It's important that LDLC on bot lane are...
Antonio?
Oh.
Antonio? All right. There's a reason he has the in his name, because he is definitely destroying in that top lane, getting a solo kill onto Bando, saying, all right, you can go mega all you want. All I need to do is num num num. And I'm going to be able to feast my way to victory. This is going to force LDLC to now have to play around the top lane. TynX is here with Vétheo, looking for the paddle star to get that damage on to Antonio. Pokes him down, Sleepy Trouble Bubble, even using Subjugate. One more auto attack, it's going to be the kill with that ult gifted over to TynX. But with the jungler in the top lane, it means a free dragon for Vodafone.
Oh, that was very neat from the Antonio. Getting a kill in this matchup seems close to impossible. It's some good stuff. I know early game he has some opportunities if he lands his spells, but Gnar needs to be very careful with how he moves around, and the Antonio delivers on the tank picks. That's why he's playing tanks. shouldn't doubt the dedicated tank players because they are special and nice human beings that you always love to have in your games.
Well, especially because it's Cho'Gath. It's not just that it's tanks, it's Cho'Gath. The Antonio loves this champion, plays it all the time. Doesn't matter if it's meta or not, will constantly play it whenever possible. And I think a lot of this has to go back to Bando dying earlier. It was a great gank that TynX was able to provide, getting that early kill for Bando, but unfortunately dying and gifting over free gold to the Antonio allows him to be able to come back into this matchup, and now he has a level lead. He's been maintaining that since pretty much level 3, where always Bando can't do much into this matchup and is forced to have to go Mega, which doesn't do too well into a Cho'Gath matchup. I don't know either.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, this is interesting.
I think the wave's gonna crash into the turret, the Antonio will regen up. The ult cooldown is rather low on Gnar, but I think Bando just, he heard you talking about him.
He's like, I'm gonna fight him, I'm gonna beat him, I'm a level down, but who cares? And Antonio's like, you barely tickled me, kid.
Indeed. Here's a rebuttal.
Is it gonna be able to kite? Bando, can you escape from Antonio? The Antonio wants this. Not going to be able to get the rupture this time. TP does scare him away. It's going to be Hades showing up the flash in to get the Antonio away, but Satchel Charge going to be able to knock him back into the fight.
Ooh.
Big Inferno Bomb going to go wide. Lamabear, are you going to be able to get here in time? Sleepy Trouble Level is going to be able to connect onto him. He's trying to get away from the fight. But the rest of Vodafone Giants are here. Cataclysm does force Bando to have to use his bounce to be able to get out of the fight. And TynX, who had started up that Rift Herald, now has to bail off the objective. Maybe they are going to be able to turn around for LDLC and get that themselves. But now it's going to be a little bit more difficult. All the members of Vodafone are in the vicinity and could put a rebuttal back.
Bando's very low HP, he needs to recall, so Lamabear no ultimate, they can definitely walk into this. I think they should be able to contest, but the position is definitely better for LDLC. Cho'Gath is coming, LeBlanc is coming, maybe we have a fight.
It's down pretty low, it's going to be TynX who secures it. But Vétheo, jumped on by Pretty, has to flash over the wall to get away from the rupture. A lot of damage comes in from this LeBlanc, but it's a level lead for Zoe with the blast cone to be able to get over the wall and survive. LDLC, they get the objective, they do get all members out of there, but it doesn't seem that Vodafone Giants want to give this one up too easily. The pick onto YellOwStaR, he put himself in a bad spot, and it's too easy for the Antonio to be able to get up his third kill as Vétheo barely gets back over the wall with that portal jump.
You can see that the bottom wave was a bit better managed for LDLC. The wave means the Antonio is going to lose some creeps, and I wanted to point that out because it seems like everyone on LDLC want to do everything in their power to attack the Antonio with TPs, with Trundle ganks, but he's holding super strong. Now the wave is against him on bottom side because of a mismanagement from, I assume, Misfortune and Nautilus. I don't know. I have to look back. I don't want to go back right now, but the wave is bad for the Antonio, and that's all I know.
Not looking so good for him, unfortunately. So might be able to give Bando that XP back into the fight and not be so severely behind the Antonio. The Cho'Gath, who does have 3 kills, granted, is not going to be nearly as dominant in this matchup anymore. Bando is going to feel a little bit more confident, and you can see that translated into the CS, translated even into the items, where it's more of that garage sale build for the Antonio, not really having enough gold to be able to pick up anything full, and possibly even getting dove now that Bando is able to get that level back. They pop Rift Herald as well.
It's a very early Rift Herald, but they want to go for the dive. The pillar should come down. No flash.
Nope.
No pillar.
I'm surprised no pillar. I guess they just decided they wanted to be able to turn on to the objective.
Cooldown? Oh, he did crab. He did crab, that's why.
Ah, okay. So it is a possible fight. They do get the knockup. That's going to be the bullet time, getting a lot of damage. They get down the turret with the sat charge, but they get the knockup back onto TynX. Pretty is on the other side, looking for the flank, but the Antonio is already dead. Everyone's pretty low on LDLC. Pretty's going to be able to jump in, not get enough damage onto TynX. Having to back out of the fight. 4v5. Vodafone Giants not going to be able to resist this one anymore. They feel that they cannot assassinate anyone, and LDLC not only going to get away with murder, but they're also going to be able to take the turret gold itself.
LDLC are definitely controlling the pace of the game. Everything is happening on their terms. They are the Giants of course, they are reacting to what LDLC are doing. They get the good combo with Bando and Ziggs. They can easily jump out. They get to poke, and after the Jarvan ultimate has happened and the Nautilus ult gets wasted, there is not a lot of tools to get onto these champions that are so mobile and so long range in Gnar and Zoe. If they get the extended fights, if they get a situation where they deny the initial engage, then LDL's composition is going to, of course, win out.
And that's exactly what just happened. Able to slowly but surely get the objectives, get the kills. They're getting the gold onto the right people. TynX still sitting at 100% kill participation on this Trundle. Has been everywhere on the map, has been the one leading them to success and looking to be able to get their first dragon of the game, continuing to tell everyone where to go. And this is LDLC, a team that doesn't actually even have a coach. They've been pretty much just going off what they can. YellOwStaR was the coach, but now is playing for the team. So having your coach kind of there, as well as TynX being this, what I can only assume is a very good shot caller, it's looking like LDLC are definitely in control of this game.
Yeah, TynX has been doing a lot of work, and I think I'm looking at the itemization. If you always, I look at the gold and I look at the itemization, and it is look like LDLC is gonna reach those key items earlier. Already a finished item on Ziggs. But when you look on the other side, LeBlanc doesn't look like she has a lot going on for herself. Negatron Claw goes above for Cho'Gath, when in reality maybe should just buy a little bit more armor earlier in this lane phase against Gnar. Misfortune with that pickaxe, no BF is also quite awkward because you want to rush Essence Reaver. Pickaxe is not a part of that recipe, so I think for now, the time being, LDLC is going to look much stronger in the upcoming fights.
It looked like Attila wanted to be able to go for that lane dominant build where you're getting that extra damage out of Doran's blades. You're trying to get the early pickaxe just so you can get these kills, but it didn't pay out. Didn't work the way they wanted to, and now they find themselves 2,000 gold behind at about 14 minutes into the game as they see themselves in mid lane getting pressured. Attila trying to escape that one, will be able to get behind that pillar, but it's going to be more damage and more plate gold going the way of LDLC.
It's always the same story here. Giants are trying to make a desperate play on the side, and then LDLC get to be in that perfect position where they're sieging as 4. They get to poke, they get to use the W satchel to maybe break a turret. As long as they are stuck in that 1-3-1 position or 4-1 position are on side, they are super happy. Giants need to find ways to break it up. This is maybe an opportunity.
But Pretty's pretty low. Gets the Gnar ult into the wall, has to flash away. Boulder barely doesn't connect. Distortion back. Pretty wants to be able to go back into the fight to get the damage. A Cataclysm comes in from Lamabear, so he's going to be able to go on a killing spree. But the top side, the Antonio, dies to another gank from TynX, continuing to be at that massive force on the map for LDLC.
And I had some sympathy for the Antonio because he was getting ganked a lot during the lane phase, but when his team is making a play on the bottom side of the map and he's completely blind on the top side, those are moments you gotta give up. He needs to back up and make sure that his team gets as much value as possible. The Antonio is fishing, looking for that Zoe. He gets into that sleep bubble and he has no Mercury, so it lasts very long. And here comes TynX. TynX is everywhere. TynX is all over the place. This rift is his home. He's taken it over completely.
It's like one of those jump scares. You think that he's not behind you, but TynX is always behind you. You just gotta always assume that the Trundle, the scary troll, is not under the bridge, but he's somewhere that is about to smack you with a giant ice club.
Precisely. That is aptly put, man. Magical.
Thank you, Yamato. It's good to hear genius being recognized, but right now, it seems that Vodafone Giants gonna make sure that they are recognized on the map as they give themselves a Rift Trail, but there we go. Okay, I was waiting for them to pick up the eye. I was like, Antonio, are you gonna get it? You get the empowered recall if you actually grab it.
He got worried, he's like, this is gonna make me get ganked again. The enemy team are gonna see me have this.
He thinks that if he gets the empowered recall, he's gonna be in lane faster, which means that they're gonna try to camp him further. I see what you're saying.
TynX is already here.
Oh man.
Does
he know though? When is Trundle gonna get like a shark skin? That's what I'm wondering.
TynX definitely deserves one, but the Antonio is fairly tanky. No dive's gonna happen. A bit too dangerous on the tier 2. Bando is just throwing some houses at him.
Throwing a couple of the clock towers, the houses at Antonio, but it is going to be the dive nonetheless onto the Antonio. Doesn't have a completed item just yet. He does flash away. TynX now going to be the center of attention. Redemption going to be able to heal him back to full though. Has to flash away. Was ignited. They do jump onto Bando in the front line, who flashes himself. Not going to be able to go Mega. It's a rampage for Lamabear as he finds yet another kill on the map. Vodafone going to be happy with that pick, even though Hades should be able to take that turret with the satchel charge. Ooh, not going to actually get it. He wants to hold on so that he can escape. Doesn't get over the wall, has to flash in order to secure his retreat.
Okay, a bit dangerous dive from LDLC. They need to remember what mode the team composition wants to be in. Always poking, and this is gonna put them in a position where they're probably gonna lose the mid tower, and that's so important for champions like Ziggs and Zoe. They need that backup from behind. Flanks are gonna begin to happen. Super clutch here if Giants get to kill it. So close.
Oh,
so close.
Inches away there, Yamato. So close. I thought they were going to be able to have it, but looking at this replay, it seemed a little over-ambitious and overzealous out of LDLC.
Tanking, going for the Cho'Gath. Sure, you have the subjugate from Trundle, but he is durable indeed, and Giants were around this area. They weren't showing on the mid lane. They just came out of base. They're also very mobile with their LeBlanc and Misfortune, and LDLC need to remember that their composition in that position, Ziggs was already sieging the mid turret. They should have been happy with that gain and then just walked away and just take the profit already.
And the profit is going to be there for Hades as he tosses down that satchel charge pretty quickly, gets himself some free gold. I don't know if it was shared by anyone. I don't think so. I don't think anyone was nearby enough to spread the wealth. But it's going to be nice enough for LDLC. They open up the map a little bit, and they even are able to pressure Vodafone into their own jungle. Giants have to escape this. Pretty already used Distortion. I'm surprised they didn't want to jump on him any further. Instead, setting up Vision, trying to play this one a little bit more slow and methodical. Even though they are tied up in gold, in kills, they are up in gold.
It's so hard to walk through this area. The Trundle pillar comes down. The Antonia is screwed.
He is not going to do well at all. Bullet time, not going to be able to get enough damage onto YellOwStaR. It's going to be the Cataclysm coming in from Lamabear as he goes golden immediately. Pretty on the other side of the wall, not going to be able to get the damage onto TynX. Instead, jumping onto Bando, trying to see who else they can turn around as Pretty, Lamabear, both of them having to run away, tail between their legs from that fight. Not going to be able to get anything in LDLC. It was touch and go there for a little bit, but they had enough health to be able to survive. They get the kill, and they get the objective yet again.
LDLC just sticking to the basics. Mid-pry with 4, with the Ziggs and the Zoe, walk into bottom side, support the Gnar so he can get the space. They take over the Drake area, and all of a sudden, in the replay, this choke point where we see these water bombs, or whatever you want to call them, covering the space. Erdote is now 1 HP already. The Trundle pillar comes down. Lamabear and his team cannot get through this choke point. LDLC are just too tanky and they have too much range. It's too difficult to get through that. The position was just superior. They couldn't fight this one.
That's what happens when you take control of the jungle with Vision. You make sure that they have to play into your hands, and unfortunately for Nautilus, it's too early into the game. Only sitting on those components, not yet got the Gargoyle Stone Plate to be able to survive some of that poke and harass that Hades could put down. So you just feel so bad as a tank, as someone who's supposed to be able to eat a lot of that damage when you get yourself that low from 1 or 2 abilities. You feel unfortunate, and now it shows that Vodafone Giants continue to get harassed. The hook coming in on Erdote, not going to be followed up by YellOwStaR this time around. Instead, they're just going to clear up these minion waves and try to see what else they can set up on this map.
It's good that they don't get too eager. Their composition wants to poke, they stick to the poke.
Oh no, Sleepy Trouble Bubble does not connect. Vétheo, though, will have at least some troops there to be able to help out, to survive from Pretty, who wanted to be able to get that assassination, but having to already go back, it's going to do what we were just talking about, setting up vision control, but unfortunately not for LDC. It's going to be for Vodafone Giants this time.
You mentioned the items slowly stacking up. I love when you see the inventory like a chain vest and a Negatron cloak. It just looks like a discount cosplay, you know, that's something that you piece together, you know, before you get that. The clutch item, those items are going to be super important because it's going to allow them to actually go deeper into these fights. But it also gives Trundles more targets to just ult and subjugate. That is the key thing. They might struggle to kill tanks without the Trundle, but with the Trundle becomes so much easier because they don't have that 80 carry damage output. So they can actually focus one target down and keep kiting. It's so key here for things in this Trundle.
Ooh, Vétheo, though, gets deleted and shut down by Pretty, who does have that flank potential onto Hades. Hades is running for the hill, but Erdote going to be taken pretty low by TynX. Has to go golden to be able to survive this one, as YellOwStaR going to have the redemption to heal up, but not enough to save him from Attila. Flashing at that team vitality, saying, hey, remember me? I know how to play this game very well. finally going to be on the board as Bando has to use the Gnar just to try to see if he can survive. Knew that the rest of Vodafone Giants were on the way to try to see if they could take down that Gnar, who's now going to be in mini form, so a lot easier of a target.
Yeah, looking at Giants, we've been talking about LDLC's composition. Misfortune is going to be super important if he gets his ult off because he's the Fed member. Kind of sad that Lamabear has so much money on him because honestly you would rather want that on Attila or the LeBlanc. Ooh, okay.
Ooh, Attila though, having to flash away from the sweet spot of Mega Inferno Bomb. Barely going to be able to survive. Has to use bullet time just to clear out the minion wave and then cancel it early to dodge away from that clock tower. They do hold on to the turret, but looking at this play, first we see Pretty just delete Vétheo. That is so unfortunate.
He knew. He knew he was queuing into the bush and he was like, screw it. I'm going to enter the bush anyway and get popped by Pretty. And that was not pretty at all. I've seen YellOwStaR die in this river position 3 times this game already. I think he hates this location. He's like, oh, we're here again? I don't want to be here.
No, I don't think he wants to be, but yet he constantly finds his way there. It's just deja vu. He doesn't even know how he gets in this place before. And every single time he does, he dies, so hopefully gonna not go there anymore. That's what I assume at least. Same with Vétheo. Just stay away from Pretty because you are... Sure, you are someone who can delete someone. You're playing Zoe. We all know the memes of Zoe, blah, blah, blah. But LeBlanc has been that for well before you even existed. Don't try to fight it.
I like the way how you put it, you know. LeBlanc has definitely been through it all. She's seen some stuff. She's been hated. Zoe took that position from her, and LeBlanc has gone under the radar.
Exactly. See, look at that. Bando used ult, trying to grab Pretty, distortioned away, then goes back, gets the damage onto Gnar, and is gonna be like, okay, we still have control of this Dragon Pit. This is what I'm talking about with LeBlanc. Just, you can hate Zoe all you want. LeBlanc has been there. I love LeBlanc too. I used to play a lot of LeBlanc, so I know what I'm talking about.
Only the players who play LeBlanc love LeBlanc.
Exactly. That's how it works. But right now, does seem that there's going to be the TP in behind, getting a lot of
YellOwStaR
onto YellOwStaR, but he's going to be in the front of everything with Antonio in the back line. Going to be able to get the knockup. Not going to be able to get the kill onto Vétheo. Instead, he's going to be into the back line. You see how much damage came out of Attila. It wasn't very much. And it's going to be instead Antonio focused down. The tank is gone. That means it's going to be LDLC on the hunt and chase, getting the flash out of Erdote. Throwing the boulder, the clock tower chimes, and it's ringing the death of Erdote, trying to get away. Barely going to be able to grab the charge line into the wall. Goes Pretty and looking for who else is going to be able to follow him. No one does, though. It's going to be a flash in from Vétheo, just using the one that he was able to pick up before. As Pretty wants to be able to find some sort of assassination, does find it onto Vétheo yet again. Constantly got to be able to do that, as TynX has to flash over the wall to get away from Lamabear. They do lose just Vétheo. They get the kill onto Antonio, as well as getting their second Cloud Dragon, being one step closer to that Cloud Dragon soul.
Yeah, the move speed is going to be super helpful because of the nature of the compositions, but Giants are looking at the Nashor. They don't care about the Dragon. They're going for it. They got the Feast soon as well for Cho'Gath. It's going to be hard to steal.
This is a play I love. When you see that you didn't do so well on the other half, but you have the member advantage. You have it for a brief amount of time. You might as well see if you can rush. You know everyone else had to back. You know there's not going to be a Trundle. Now you see Bando is way too far out. You get the pick, and then you go right back to the objective.
Ooh.
YellOwStaR. Not going to be able to get enough damage onto Pretty, but you can tell it is still the Baron that is on the docket there for Vodafone Giants. But TynX going to be able to take a lot of the resistance away from Erdote, trying to get back with the Titan's Wrath shield to keep him alive. They do deny that Baron, though. Vodafone not going to be able to take that. But we look back towards this replay, this pick that comes in. It's pretty much them trying to see if they can catch out Pretty at first, while the rest of Vodafone Giants collapse.
And we see the engage here onto YellOwStaR. He survives, but the really questionable thing is, you know, the Antonio is zoning the Ziggs and, of course, the Zoe. She survives with 1 HP, but him committing so far and playing with his team, I think playing with his team would have been the better option. The extra CC onto Trundle, the extra CC onto Thresh. Cho'Gath already zoned off those carries. He was kind of, you know, living out his biggest Jurassic Park dreams there by just being the big monster that goes in the back line. But the better move would have been to just fight with his team and then maybe Q towards the Ziggs and the Zoe. The same thing happened with Bando when he chased so far, but he got saved by the Lantern. And then, of course, we had the final frag here onto Vétheo. Pretty definitely hates Zoe players, and he's showing it in this game because he's hunting for him.
Making sure to concentrate, but we go right back out of the replay into the fight. A bullet time finally fully charges, and you can see the amount of damage he was able to get onto TynX. Vétheo not going to be able to connect Battlestar onto Lamabear. everyone's going to be able to get out of the fight. Nobody dies, even though everyone got pretty low. You can see how low TynX is. Barely going to be able to survive that one, but he might be able to recall in time and contest an attempted Baron play, unless, of course, Bando gets himself caught out. Face checking that brush, has to hop away. Pretty not going to be able to jump over with Distortion. Instead, it's going to be Vétheo who has to get away from the Antonio.
Mercury just way too OP there for Bando. And key thing here is that LDLC have a bit of like a small window to do stuff because Giants are very ultra reliant with the Jarvan and the Nautilus to latch on to LDLC targets. But luckily for Giants, they're going to be up for that Cloud Drake. It's going to be so key because that Soul, in most cases you don't like Cloud Drake Soul so much, but with a composition that wants to kite and poke, it's gonna make a difference for LDLC. Another thing I wanted to point out is just because LDLC are playing 4-1 constantly and Gnar being on side, this means the Giants have managed to pick up more CS on the side, and this is mattering very much now when you look at the XP differentials between the teams.
We can see who's got the level leads. Attila, that's pretty much why we've been seeing this LeBlanc constantly assassinate Zoe. Anytime you see a Zoe say, nope, you die. Even Misfortune, whenever you have it fully channeled, bullet time is going to be that much more threatening. Doesn't matter how tanky you think you are as TynX. This Misfortune is going to start to hurt pretty bad here in these late game team fights if she can get the fully channeled bullet time.
Yeah, the key spell there is going to be that Trundle pillar. He needs to keep it. TynX needs to be very patient. Gnar as well with the split push build needs to, make sure that he gets more value out of his TP because he could potentially be bottom now and hitting that Cho'Gath and start to pressure with this build because this is a split push build. You don't want to group with this.
No, but unfortunately does not have TP and might get picked off. Hook not going to connect from YellOwStaR. Instead, Lamabear might look to engage the fight. Going to be able to go on to Bando. Bullet time does so much damage. An unstoppable Lamabear picks up the kill with the dunk. Without that top laner, the split push aspect of LDLC is gone, and Vodafone Giants seem like they're making some pings, maybe looking for their own split push objectives.
Oh,
Attila!
Damn.
So, did you watch LCK earlier today?
Yes, the Senna.
Yes, I was about to say, Teddy kind of experienced that Ziggs can do a lot of damage. It is going to be the attempted 4v5 fight that interrupts us, but actually going back, let's go back, because it does seem like it stopped. You saw that, and this is what I'm talking about with Ziggs. If you let him get his ult off you, sure, you think it's only one ability, you're pretty squishy, Attila.
Yeah, especially when he's standing still and throwing out bullet time, he could get that full damage with that center. As Hades is getting stronger, it's going to matter. Doesn't have Luden's Echo though, so less burst. He went for the Sprinkler, which I don't like too much, but it's alright.
It's decent. It's about the utility, but having a Rabadon's Death Cap definitely making him a little bit stronger is pretty. Looking for the flank. Bando is going to be able to spot that out and say, okay, LeBlanc's on the other side. Vétheo does try to jump forward, not going to be able to connect Sleepy Trouble Bubble, but it's still the fight put down by Vodafone Giants over this dragon. They cannot give the soul over to LDLC. They got to put up a valiant fight. It's going to be the Chomp that gets it secured by the Antonio, denying the soul for now.
My goodness, it went down to 68 HP. That's when he ate it. It was super, super close. I'm happy the Antonio gets a couple of stacks because that's a pretty tiny Cho'Gath. Considering we're 30 minutes in, I don't think he's eating 6 creeps.
Well, look at
I don't think he's eating 6 enemies. Yeah. It's kind of... This is the role of a tank, I guess, on Giants. This Misfortune with the move speed is I can farm mid and top, no problem, dude. Just hang around. Keep your feast. Don't feast anything. We need it for the soul. Don't worry.
Only use it on objectives. That's all you're allowed to use it on. Maybe on TynX if he's nearby, but he's nowhere near. Instead, TynX is going to be able to survive for so long. Redemption finally comes down with Bando. Jumping onto Attila into the back line. Attila, unfortunately, not going to be able to get away from that fight at all. Antonio is too late to party. Bando, though, the Ignite ticks away, gets a killing spree for Pretty as he's easily able to get out of there well before I can even finish a sentence.
Very important that Giants don't forget that this Trundle is a thick boy. They tried to engage on him, he ulted onto any of these targets on as he gets so much MR and armor, and they forced onto him and Misfortune was out of position.
And that's what happens when you're a Misfortune out of position. Look how much gold Attila has. That is 12,000 gold that Vodafone Giants could have on the field as long as you stay behind your tanks. Let the BP frontline be the ones that are fighting. Let them do all the work that they need to. Don't engage on the tanks unless you absolutely have to.
That was a an attempt, but as you said, TynX, I think he should rename to Tonks, because he's so beefy. Here we go again, the EQ over the wall, TynX relaxing, uses Subjugate onto, of course, the Nautilus that had Aftershock on, which made him even tankier. Flashes out and Attila has no direction to flash in because he needs to dodge the mega death bomb thingamajig that Ziggs throws out, and then he gets caught and all of that money is gone. 12k out.
Bando will gladly trade his own life for that. Say, you know what, I'm a 1-7 Gnar. If we can kill Misfortune, that is always worth. We make sure they have pretty much negligent gold now. We already have a 2,000 gold lead. You take away Attila, and suddenly it's in far larger gold lead. Even if you get the kill on a Bando, I'm pretty sure the gold deficit between those two characters is about like 4,000.
It's funny because, you know, I know a lot of fans are watching out there. They're watching this game and then they say, "Lul, top lane useless role," because they are really down in the dumpster in terms of gold. The carries in this game is TynX, is of course Hades with the Ziggs, and then Attila and Pretty. They are the ones that are going to do the big difference. Zoe, when she reaches death cap, will begin to pop people, but she's kind of behind on XP, and that's the case for the entire LDLC roster.
They're trying to see if they could kind of stack up together and be able to find some of these fights, which just is counterintuitive to what their composition is. Even though they do have TynX, who has the level lead, has gotten some experience, it's not really translated to their carries just yet. But it doesn't seem to be deterring them at all. They still seem to be fine, despite the fact that they are down a little bit in experience. They just have enough of a frontline out of this one character alone, that being TynX.
This kind of reminds me of Immortals early in the season when they played against TSM and they just had a poke composition, group 5 mid, throw spells at the enemy, hope something lands, and then Giants need to be kind of creative with what kind of engages they get. Because the problem here is Giants are doing the standard mistake most teams are doing. They're just showing on the wave. They need to begin to use Fog of War, they need to begin to hide, because you need to attack LDLC from angles. If they're just looking at the wave, you know, acting like it's cinema, looking at the creeps die because Misfortune is taking them, that is no way to pressure LDLC's composition.
Yes, I know how the NARAM works. I'm all too familiar with it, being from North America myself. I've seen this many a times, and it does seem that LDLC kind of have learned a little bit. They have that split push element from Bando, so they could always send him, but Vétheo finally going to be able to escape the clutches of Pretty, say, not today, not this time. I'll barely survive that fight, and maybe this could be the time that Vodafone, even though it's not a kill on a Vétheo, can get something more onto the map. They can push forward, they can find some vision control. That way they're not just getting shoved in and forced into that NARAM.
At least they can get away with taking the Drake. As you mentioned, Zoe's out. I'm getting a bit worried about the XP differentials. The Cloud Drake is going to be important, and the key thing is that LDLC don't have an AD carry, so threatening a Nashor is super difficult. They don't have that much damage onto it. Giants can posture towards the dragon and be safe that LDLC is not going to take it, because maybe they can find a steal with the Cho'Gath feast as well.
It does seem that Vodafone, instead of trying to go for the steal, are just going to look for the secure. They don't even want to give that open as an option for LDLC. They're going to be able to get the feast that they need to on the Antonio, with Pretty taken pretty low. TynX in the middle of everybody, with Erdote having to flash away, barely going to be able to survive. Bando going to look like he's going to be the first one to fall. Attila going to be able to pick up the kill, but Attila himself takes so much damage on the other side. The hook onto the Antonio. Not going to be able to finish off the tank just yet. They don't want to go for that tank member. They want to be able to finish off someone like Attila. They do flash forward to pick up the kill for Vétheo. Looking for Attila. That is going to be an immediate cleanse to be able to survive. But TynX not letting that go too quietly. Good pillar to be able to slow him down. All they need is the bouncing bomb to be able to connect onto the carry, but it's the Battlestar instead. Getting the shutdown that they need. Lamabear looking to see if he can survive the fight. He does flag and drag away, but TynX still hunting, still caring, still wanting to make sure that nobody could go out of this fight alive. They want to be able to secure as many players as possible, with Pretty there too. Not looking like it's going to be too much though. He wasn't able to get onto Vétheo. Instead, just staring at LDLC and seeing the remnants of what his team once were.
The key mistake Giants keep doing is the fact that they are clumped up and showing their angles. They need to find flanks. They need to come from behind. They need to go for the Zoe and the Ziggs from angles, because for right now it's just too easy for Thresh to find the hooks, to find the lanterns. We had the TP from the Antonio. Bando also TP'd in.
It didn't actually look to use that TP from the Antonio to be able to get into the backline to lock anyone down. They were too scared of Bando's TP itself, saying, alright, maybe we should fall back. We were able to get the summoner spell out of Bando, so he's not going to be able to threaten that split push anymore. And sure, it is Nayram, but it does seem like it hasn't been hurting Vodafone too much, especially when we look at this replay and how they were able to stop that Dragon Soul from going over.
So we have the fight. Pretty gets found by Bando, but then Bando jumps into the pit, which is kind of weird because his team is winning the fight already. Nautilus ult is already wasted. Lamabear is holding on to his Cataclysm for some reason. He needed to use it to make sure to set up for that bullet time. Attila still has his ult on, coming very, very late into the fight. The way Giants can win is if they get a huge Cataclysm, a flank off of LeBlanc, and then a Nautilus ult on top of that. Attila just starts channeling his bullet time, and then maybe something can happen. But if the fights go too slow, a pillar comes down, Cho'Gath gets chunked out because he's super far behind. This is not a tanky Cho'Gath. One pillar, one ult from Trundle, all of a sudden he melts like cheese in a microwave.
That's a good expression. I haven't really heard that one. Everyone always goes with the knife through butter and stuff. I like that one a lot better. Cheese in a microwave. Very unique, but LDLC still have control partly over the map. They are winning in this Nayram as Sleepy Trouble Bubble going to be able to get the sleep onto the Antonio. But nothing further falling from that. LDLC still retain that gold lead. In fact, they have it up 1,000 over Vodafone Giants after that one fight, but it's not very much here. At almost 40 minutes into the game, Antonio takes so much damage, and maybe they're going to be able to jump on him a little bit further. Are they going to be able to reach him? Even with that Subjugate now going to be timed out for TynX. They took away a lot of the resistances out of the Antonio, but there is no TP out of this Cho'Gath. There is no way for him to rejoin this fight if they decide to start up the Baron.
It's just Giants keep playing a game of dodgeball, but they just have no balls to throw. LDLC is the poke composition. They need to find flanks. They keep showing towards the enemy and they can't find any engages. They need to sacrifice some waves to find opportunities. This might be one because LDLC's Nash timers are not that quick. Pretty is very low.
Pretty got himself very low, got caught out. Pretty much the fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me kind of mentality, because he went for the same play he's been going for this entire game. Only a little bit of damage came out from Vétheo, wasn't able to connect on Attila. Antonio, Righteous Glories, not going to be able to get the knockup that he needs to be able to join into this fight. And Pretty, still sitting pretty on the fight, not wanting to back off just yet. They do force off LDLC from this Baron, and maybe themselves, Vodafone Giants, going to be able to push up mid and get themselves an objective.
The tricky part is LDLC can find a lot of damage with their poke, but their Nasher isn't the greatest, and they need to be worried about the Cho'Gath feast always. A good
Very
ultimate
true.
and a fight around the Baron it's so easy to force onto a poke compositions around the Baron because there's so many angles to come from. Now the next big thing is going to be the Cloud Drake, because both teams are on Soul. It is a Cloud Soul, so it's not that exciting. You know, if it was an Ocean Soul, I would be, you know, very jolly right now. But the Cloud Drake can make a little bit of a difference, but it's not game winning. It will all come down to how Giants execute the team fights. If they can find angles, they can't be a Protoss death ball. That's just not how it works.
They are trying the death ball. They get a little bit of damage onto TynX, but he is very difficult to kill. We've seen it so many times. Finally, they shut him down. Attila jumped on by Bando in the backline. They're going to be able to survive. Shutdown comes in effect for Bando as he went mega, goes golden to be able to survive for now. Will die to the fight to the Antonio. Still continuing. Who can they jump on? They get the flash out of Vétheo with the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Going to be able to connect on a Lamabear, but they're going to be able to blow up YellOwStaR. A rampage for Pretty. Hades taken so low. Not going to be able to connect with Paddlestar this time. It is going to be a Cloud Soul for Vodafone.
It's going to be key because Giants would prefer an Ocean Soul, but of course the Cloud Soul is going to help with the ult cooldowns and also the engage. They are very ult reliant, so it's definitely going to help. The move speed is also good into compositions that want to, of course, poke. But here, the problem is that they just didn't check their blind spot. They have many spells to throw over the corner. They walk in, face check, and Trundle gets, of course, feasted on there. And then Attila is left behind. The Mega Infernal Death Bomb just lands onto him. They just have to throw it onto Misfortune the moment she starts to channel that bullet time. So it's a very, very clever pick here with the Ziggs first pick and then Misfortune into Ziggs, which is kind of confusing when you think about it.
Right.
But with all the AD carry bans, Attila had to go for comfort.
Had to go for something that they felt like carry on as well, and this isn't looking like his best performance. It is a attempted fight still here from LDLC. TynX having to finally flash away. One thing I didn't really get to mention that I kind of wanted to talk about is, well, TynX is very tanky. One thing that can't stop him is a Cho'Gath Feast.
Oh, whoa.
Ooh, flash forward from Erdote. They get the double knockup if they need to, but they found nothing off of it. Everyone's still relatively healthy. That way, when Pretty shows up, there's nothing he can do. Nobody does assassinate because they're all too healthy. He's trying to get onto Hades into the backline. Does finally find him.
Ooh.
Gets so much damage, but still survives because he went golden. Getting back out of the fight. LDLC able to cancel what Vodafone Giants had attempted, where they were trying to see if they could get that flash forward from Erdote to catch someone who is not paying attention off guard, but unfortunately it just did not work. Even though they have forced off LDLC and they got Hades pretty low, he was able to recall. Doesn't even need to TP back into the fight. He's walking his way down the lane and is going to be able to contest this bear.
I like how Pretty is playing, but this blue ward is definitely spotting him. It's a bit of a problem. Pretty is finally finding those flanks, those angles, because he does have the power to one-shot people. The turn is happening.
He got the pick that they need to on the tick, but he's going to be pretty tanky so far. Pretty into the backline, gets the flash out of Vétheo. He's going to be able to follow that up with a shutdown, and TynX is gone. They took away the tank. They've taken away the power of LDLC. The flash in. Double kill for Pretty. Bando having to get out of dodge. Even a TP from Hades just to be able to survive. Pretty himself wants to take down that Gnar. Barely could not complete the kill, but it does not seem to matter. We are 43 minutes into the game, finally taking down that tier 2 in the mid lane for Vodafone Giants as they can finally go towards that Baron.
That was very, very well done. They couldn't really pressure LeBlanc out of the jungle. Now she's chilling on very good items. The Banshee is definitely helping as well. Also a Zoe bubble or a Thresh doesn't randomly land as he's fishing for kills. Pretty using angles. LDLC is a composition that wants to poke. If you can find yourself into that backline, it's very difficult against a Zoe that has a Thresh on her side and also that Banshee's Veil. Beautifully played from Pretty to find those kills that put LDLC in the coffin.
This is what Pretty has been doing all game long as well. He has constantly been looking for these flanks, these picks onto Vétheo. I'm pretty sure I'm going to just make it a meme at this point, but LeBlanc is the OG Zoe. He is showing why LeBlanc was the scary champion for so long, saying, I am a lot more threatening than you are with these paddle stars and these bubbles.
The key thing is that this Nashor is not going to be enough for the LeBlanc Zoe saga to end. Do we have a hook?
Hook
the tanky Cho'Gath.
A very, very tanky Cho'Gath. Gonna be able to get out of there, but look at Pretty into the backline. Not gonna be able to get that first kill onto Hades, who still somehow not died in the fight. Bando looking like he might get in the double digits of death. Attila takes him down. TynX hiding back away from Pretty. Sleepy Trouble Bubble gonna be able to connect, but they already got the root that they needed to onto TynX, and the double kill coming in from Attila. Chasing away LDLC. Vodafone Giants, they got the Baron buff as well. But this outer turret surviving for almost 45 minutes. It falls. Gold continues to soar into the pockets of Vodafone Giants, and they are not done. They will continue to siege LDLC until this is all but over.
It's going to be difficult for Zoe to clear those super creeps. Giants can definitely push for victory. Bando running it down a little bit too much for LDLC to handle. He has 10 deaths, which is way too many. That's half of Giants' kills. That's pretty wild.
Not looking so good at all. And this is maybe showing us that we were wrong. We said that the tank Cho'Gath wasn't going to do so well, but Attila finds himself on a rampage. They have knocking down these turrets. They are taking the game. It might have been 45 minutes long. The Nayram favors them in the long run. They were not scared. They were not threatened. They're at the doorstep of LDLC, and they continue to pad their KDA. They got the double digits out of Attila. They might get another kill. There's a quadra kill. Are they going to look for the penta at the steps of LDLC? They got a chanky Cho'Gath. They do get the knockup, but everyone's dying for this. Are they going to be able to get it? No, they're not. Look at him healing. There it is. Penta kill for Attila right as the game ends.
Wow. What a wild game. What an ending.
I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah, this is the pentakill, 500 CS Attila. You know, it was a puzzle for Giants to solve. They were grouping up a bit too much, and then Pretty, when he finally found the good angles and his enemies couldn't really spot him in the jungle, he began to pick up the Zoe too many times. Also in the team fights, Bando was walking up a bit too far when his composition just wanted to poke, and all those side lanes that, of course, LDLC didn't pick up, they started to hurt in the end because the level differential and the CS differential was so huge, and it is what kept Giants in the game, even though they were losing a lot of those fights.
I agree with you. You got to be able to get those side lanes when you have that setup. They have the poke that they can get from Ziggs and Zoe. They have a pretty good front line out of that Trundle. Just get those side lanes in order. Try to see who you can rotate. You have TP on Ziggs and Gnar for a reason. Utilize that a little bit more effectively.
For sure. Like, Gnar was burning his TP over and over when in reality he had a split push build with the Black Cleaver and the Blade Ruin King. He needed to keep his TP for longer and put the enemy in a position where they have to force awkwardly. Because if he was in lane against this Cho'Gath for longer, it would have been way easier. But then the tricky thing is that LDLC's composition is not that good at taking Nasher, so if Gnar is getting ganked by the LeBlanc, the punish is not really there because their Nash control is not that strong without an AD carry. So definitely a tricky puzzle to solve for LDC and Giants, but Giants finally figured it out. Pretty with the flanks, figures out the game. Beautifully played from Pretty.
And they'll pick up that first victory here at European Masters. We'll break that down a little bit more, but we're going to toss it over to a quick break, and then we'll break it all down.
Vous comprenez maintenant pourquoi j'ai créé la Magic? En un clip, vous devenez Magic.
La monture avec ces 2 clips pour 149 €.
C'est Magic.
Dispositif médical.
This is my creed. The boots that make me faster. The items that make me stronger. The potions that I drink. I get the best to be more powerful, so my champion rises to the top. But all this leveling up means nothing if I don't level up myself. It's the healthy potions I drink in real life that make me stronger. Because you can only rule the game when you realize you are your most important champion. To play like a pro, eat like a pro.
Welcome back into European Masters. We're here to discuss what just happened, LDLC versus Vodafone Giants. That was a slugfest of a game, back and forth. We had a lot happening in that game, but we got to break it down so that everyone can understand what unfolded.
For sure, it was a wild game that was very back and forth, and then the ending was, of course, pretty, finding the angles, and then Giants realized that if we force the national and clear our division, the enemy has to come into us. We no longer need to play a game of dodgeball where the enemy is just throwing balls at us and we don't have no balls. That is a game that you don't want to play. They went into fog of war and pretty found the angles, and it was a pretty game after that.
Pretty much living up to his name, doing so well in that game, and you can see a lot what's happening right here, where first it started with those flanks, like you mentioned. It was the attempt from LDLC to try to play that poke game where they were constantly harassing Vodafone, but it didn't pay out because they did not pay attention to those side lanes. They did not set up what they needed to with Bando, and Bando ended up having the double-digit death in that game, unfortunate in our performance. And even though the Antonio, I think, was trying to contest him there with deaths, all that matters is that you get the victory at the end of the day.
The Antonio was just a CC feast bot, which is better for him. The Pentacle for Attila. I think Gnar needed to utilize the split push, as you mentioned, to make sure that those side lanes are properly pushed. LDLC were always looking for opportunities where they could group and poke, but that put them in a position where they were many levels behind. The gold graph was a bit deceptive because they won those fights, but that experience and every level up that you get also amounts to a lot of gold because you skill up your spells, you get space stats. I remember reading somewhere that maybe on average one level up is worth 600 gold. So it's important to pay attention to that too. When you're in your solo queue game and you're pressing tab and you're behind on kills, maybe you're ahead on XP and you can get your motivation again, because that is what kept Giants motivated in this one, and they could eventually win because Pity was just popping off.
Plus, they got a pentakill onto Attila right there at the very end. And who doesn't love that? Right as the Nexus is about to explode, they still get pentakill flashed onto their screen, even though Attila might have died during that whole thing because they sent every single member into the fountain. It was worth. It's definitely worth if you ask me. I don't know about you.
For sure. I think you take it every time. A pentakill is a statement, especially with how the group is set up. We were talking about how every game is important, and having that pentakill in the bag and 500 CS also in your bag. You have a huge bag of goods, but you're happy that you get to carry it around because it's, only good stuff. So I think the momentum will carry on into the next games.
At least that's what you're hoping for, and for LDLC, you're hoping that they can learn from the mistakes of that game where they can play around their side lanes a little bit better, because this, I gotta say, for this group, it's kind of stacked. You have a Go Rogue, who are also in this, going up against the Fuse Kids in the next match that we'll watch, the last one of the day. Those are two teams that are pretty good. The Fuse Kids has been around the UM scene for quite some time, and looking at a Go Rogue, they are definitely a team that might be able to contest LDLC.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Woolite specifically. He's been around the block. He has a lot of experience, and Rogue was always considered the team that utilized their academy and brought up some players that are playing in the LEC now. So I have high expectations, but the key thing for, of course, the Flying Dutchman is they all represent the Benelux, and they have a lot to prove in the first game. And as we mentioned, I'm going to repeat it over and over like a one-string banjo. All games matter, and it's important that you show up big time in the first one.
And we'll get into that game in just a little bit. We're going to toss it to a break, and when we come back, it will be a Go Rogue versus the Fuse Kids, so don't go anywhere.